4:15 West, 7:15 East. And you know what that means on a Saturday or Sunday. It's time for Betting in the Break. I am your host, Loud Esmond, and this is brought to you by hitthepick.com. Hitthepick.com. It's going to launch hopefully early to middle of next or latter part of next week, depending on how long it takes us to get a couple of final things ironed out. And it is a site for the cappers, by the cappers. No big corporate oversight, no corporate giant standing behind the cappers and telling them what to do. No. Just some great cappers, some of the best in the country that you know from other places. People like the guy joining me on the show now, Sniper West. And so, you know, the point of this show, we got to get people whole if they're down. We got to help them grow their bankroll if they're up. So we're going to start with some UFC tonight, right?
Yeah. So, I like breaking down some UFC. It's nice to come on Saturday night when there's actually a pretty good card, because this is a pretty good card. I only really have one fight to talk about, though, because, you know, unfortunately with UFC, and you know this too, Loud, is a lot of times you have, you know, minus 400, minus 600, minus 900 favorites. And I'm not going to waste my time even breaking those down. I mean, I have opinions on the fight. And, you know, you could bet on other things to bring the odds down, like to win by submission or to win by knockout. But to me, I'm just not a big fan of that. I'm just looking for the fights that are minus 150 or less. And I take a lot of dogs, to be honest with you. I'm on Durden right now. Durden's fighting. I got him. I have him plus 140, I believe. Cody Durden over Joshua Van. I'm literally watching that as we speak right now. But right after this fight, okay, so in about maybe 20 minutes, we're going to have Eryk Anders and Chris Weidman, okay? So it's about minus 110, so it's a, you know, coin flip bet. But Eryk Anders, Eric, ya boy Anders, that is his nickname, Loud. But I'll tell you what, so he's actually a former Alabama Crimson Tide linebacker. This guy played for the Tide back in 2009 and 2010. He had 64 tackles and an interception. So, you know, if you're going to play at the University of Alabama, you got to be pretty athletic, right? So, this fight, actually, these two guys were supposed to fight at Madison Square Garden at UFC 309 a couple weeks ago, but Anders got food poisoning, and so the fight was canceled the night before. But the whole rumor was that Weidman, he did not get paid for the fight, so he was kind of frustrated. You're still supposed to get a percentage of the fight, even if the other, you know, the money, even if the other.
Texas just threw a pick, and that is going to end it.
Yeah,
more than likely.
I mean, they have 3 timeouts, but yeah, I mean, well, they'll kick a field goal, but you never know. Maybe we'll get a touchdown. That's disappointing because I was on Texas too. So yes, so Weidman maybe didn't get paid. That was the rumor, at least. And but I like Anders here. Okay, so they're fighting at 195 pounds instead of 185, which I think favors Anders. And, you know, he's super athletic. He's going to come forward. I think he's going to impose his will. He has great power and durability. And I like Eryk Anders over Chris Weidman. It's going to take place in about 20 minutes if you want to get that in. And you probably should do so because I've been doing very well in the UFC this year. And, yeah, that's my one UFC play.
You know what I like is you've got a strategy, right? I mean, I think that's important that, you know, you've got to have something that is your touchstone, something that is your reason why you bet on certain things. And, you know, if it's working for you, fantastic. Because I have tried to bet on UFC just to make it a little more interesting to me sometimes when you're in the off season, when there's not a lot else going on. And, you know, I do like a good beating, but I haven't been real adept at betting on the UFC because, of course, the big favorites aren't attractive. And so you end up betting on the dogs and most of them lose. But a short dog, not such a big risk. So I like that. You know, it's sort of like for me, I have a very basic thing about hockey, which is I like to bet against teams that are towards the end of a 3 or more game road trip.
Right.
Teams that are playing their first game back from a long road trip. Right. Because they're overrated.
Yes.
And then also any team that's playing on a back-to-back, I like to bet against them. Yeah. And I won't go below, say, the 15th ranked team and bet on them against the other team. So I'm not going to take some wild underdog like the Sharks or the Ducks because they're just not very good. And so I have a basic strategy that I try to stick to, and it works about, 60% of the time over the season in hockey. It works. Now, is that winning wildly? No. But is it better than losing? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have a strategy in hockey and in baseball because hockey and baseball are both very similar because you're not dealing with point spreads like a 7-point favorite or a 4-point favorite or 3-point favorite, right? Hockey is just money line. You got to lay a lot of juice if it's, if the team is favored to win, and baseball too. So my theory is I like to take a dog, right? Like a not a huge dog, but let's say like a plus 130, plus 140 dog, okay? You bet them before the game starts. And you hope and you pray that they score the first run or the first goal, okay? Because if that happens, you can flip back and you can take the team that was originally favored, and they are probably plus money at this point.
Right, so you've got a live betting strategy to go along with it.
So you have just bet two teams that you were getting plus money on, meaning you have put yourself in a position where you were going to win either way.
Right.
So,
yeah, one of my favorite live betting strategy is I look for teams that are wildly favorites, and I hope that the other team scores first.
And then you take them. Yeah.
And then I take the big favorite.
Right.
It's even better if maybe they score two quick goals, the underdog.
Right.
And then it comes way down. And I did it the other night with the Golden Knights. They got scored on early, went ahead and plussed the money up on the Golden Knights. And sure enough, they ended up coming back and winning 4-3 in the third period. Happens
a lot. In fact, it happened with the Vancouver Canucks last night. I remember because I was watching that game, and it happened when the Stars played the Kings. I think a couple nights ago, the Stars were up 2-0, and I was on the Kings, and I thought we were going to lose, and they came back and won 3-2. So it does happen more often than you would think. Okay, so let's talk about your other UFC pick, and then move on to some football. So that's actually it for UFC, but I'll talk about Marshall because Marshall actually kicked off they kick off in 8 minutes. I don't have a long breakdown. I'm just going to tell you a couple bullet points because I didn't release the card. I didn't bet it, but I kind of wish I did. In fact, I probably still could, but I'm on the show, so I'm not going to. But I like Marshall, man. So they're taking a lot of sharp money. The line's come down from 6 all the way down to 4.5 today, and they're 10-1 against the number. Loud. That's like impressive. 10-1-1 after one push. So they're making bettors money. And then I just looked too in Louisiana, they have beaten Marshall the last 2 head-to-head. They beat them in 2022 and 2021. It looks like that 2021 was a bowl game because it was December 18th. So, Marshall has revenge. They're 10-1-1 against the number, and the line is heading toward them. So I would, you have 7 minutes to put it in if you want to, but I like Marshall here plus the 4.5. Okay. So the other 2 games are at 5 if you want to get into the college games. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into that. Do you have any thoughts on SMU and Clemson or Oregon and Penn State? Because I do. SMU and Clemson, I stayed away from because I honestly, I don't think I've seen SMU play more than in highlights packages. I haven't sat down and watched an SMU game, and I barely saw much of Clemson because once they lost a couple of games, they weren't on national TV a lot anymore. And so it was kind of hard to find them. My one thought is Clemson's been there, done that. Right. And so, they have a very experienced team. And the other thing, Clemson doesn't go into the portal. He's like Dabo Swinney doesn't do it. So all those players have grown up in that program. They've stuck with that program. They're experienced and they're used to winning. So that's just my one thought on the game. And I wouldn't tell anybody to bet one way or another because I don't know the teams well enough. Right. So they are playing here at Bank of America Stadium. If you notice today, all these games, minus the Marshall. Neutral sites. Yeah, they're all except for Army last night. Right. Yeah, well, all the games specifically tonight are, other than Marshall, are at NFL Stadium. So this is where the Carolina Panthers play. That's where they're playing, the stadium, Bank of America Stadium. So SMU, obviously, they rely on the running game. And Brashard Smith, he's a really good running back. He's just tough to bring down. So he averages 3.5 yards after first contact, meaning these dudes hit him and he drags them for 3.5 yards before he goes down. And not only that, but Clemson, they can't tackle. Texas just got an interception. No way. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. There we go, man. He could have kept. Too bad. Yeah. Hey, that was the one thing I was thinking is, will the inexperienced quarterback throw a pick? And apparently it just happened. Yeah, too, I know we were in a group text and they were saying that Georgia has no holder and no punter. I don't know.
Yeah, they got hurt making a They both got hurt making the same tackle on a kick return.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Texas. They have 2 timeouts. See if they can get the end zone, or they can just kick the field goal, go to overtime.
Well, and in college, of course, you get a first down, and they stop the clock to move the chains, and so it really extends. Yeah. So they're going to get a couple of plays before the 2-minute warning. And if I'm Texas, I'm just throwing the ball. You got to stop running. Stop it.
Yeah,
it's not working.
I hope they make Matthew McConaughey proud. Let me tell you what.
Oh, this looks like a big screenplay, and it's a first down almost to the 50.
There we go. On the move.
Oh, I'm on Texas, and I've got them on a parlay card, too. So
there we go.
Come on. Oh,
so regarding SMU, I'll just finish up real quick. So Kevin Jennings, he's been great. Cade Klubnik, he's had a good year for Clemson, but if they can't run the ball, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball because SMU's front is stout. And so, long story short, I like SMU here. I'm going to lay the 2.5 over Clemson. And I like Oregon minus the 3.5 over Penn State tonight. It's scary because it's a public play. I think 90%.
Oh my God. It was 94% a few days ago. That's and now it's 86.
Yeah.
My strategy here was I took Oregon money line, and then I added Oregon money line to one of my parlay card bets. And I'm not a big parlay card guy, but I just saw 3 or 4 or 5 games that I absolutely was sure, right? Army's going to win. Buffalo's going to win against the Rams. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL. I knew Army was going to win because I watched Army all year. I mean, I watched the service academies a lot because I have family in the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. I have a nephew who is a major in the Army and did, several tours in Iraq and Afghanistan as an Apache helicopter pilot, and both his sons are going in. Mm-hmm. So, it's my dad was Navy, and I have other relatives that are Navy, and then I know one good friend who's in the Air Force. And so I watched the service academy also because it's an interesting type of football that they play. I like watching the option game. So anyway, so I was on Army last night, and of course we're in our group chat together, and everybody's telling me I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, I really think. And sure enough, Tulane they just looked flat the whole game, didn't they?
Yeah, I think those kids from Louisiana weren't ready for that 30-degree weather. Is what I think happened.
24.
Yeah, exactly.
And then add the wind chill.
Yeah.
So, just saying. It's like playing on cement.
Yeah.
In that
is West Point's in New York, the state of New York, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
On the lake.
And Annapolis is Navy, right?
Maryland. Yes.
And that's in Maryland. I got you.
Yeah. And Air Force, of course, is Colorado.
Right.
So Air Force is one of the highest altitude places to play in the country, which makes sense. So SMU, you're on SMU in that game. Oregon, Penn State. I do think Oregon is the better team. Penn State always comes up small in these games, but my God, it is such a public play, minus the points. I'm expecting this game to end like Oregon by 1, Oregon by 2.
Right.
Do you ever see the books take a loss of like 75-25? I almost never see that. Like if it's that or higher in terms of the money distribution, I tend to just wash my hands of it and go, okay, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no, I watched your show last night with Scott Keyport. And he said he's rooting for Penn State in the under. And believe me, every book in Vegas is too. It's kind of however, every book in the country, it's not exactly aligned, but they pretty much align up. The public is the public, no matter where the public is, right?
So as a betting strategy, do you tend to stay away from things that you see as huge public plays?
Yeah. I love to fade the public 100%. Like I have a metric system that I use. So I go by, is a team off a loss, right? Check number 1. If they're off a loss, they want to bounce back. What happened the last time these two teams played? If they lost to the that team, that said team, they probably want to bounce back. That's a revenge angle. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, what's the public split? Who's the public betting on? If my 2 first check marks check the list, and then it's also a good public fade, all of a sudden that's a really, really strong play for me. It's a couple other things I look at too, but a look ahead spot, it's another check. So if a team has a gigantic game on deck, they're probably not going to really be up for this game, right? So that's 4 check marks right there. So you go down the checklist and you check off all the bosses, and if you get 4, 5, 6 checks on that metric system, it's a big play. That's kind
so
of
I've got a couple of games that I like in the NFL tomorrow. One is a totals, which is Kansas City Chargers. That number is 43. If you remember, I was all over the over with the Raiders and the Chargers because that number was low at 42, and they never got there. That game ended with a total of 36 points. And the Raiders missed 3 field goals and failed in the red zone on 4th down once. So that's 12 points. They just didn't score. So does it worry me a bit? Yeah, but the Chargers defense is so good, and the Chargers don't score much in general, and the Kansas City defense is really good.
Yeah.
So, I love the under there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the under. I also like the Chargers. I like the Chargers plus the points here. Also because you like the under, because I kind of like the under too. So if it's a lower scoring game,
chances are they can cover.
Yes, that +4 is more and more valuable. In fact, the lower the score is, the better chance for the dog to cover, right? So the Chargers have been catching some steam. That's Sharps definitely like the Chargers this week. And as you said, Kansas City, they barely beat the Raiders. Kansas City is not the same old Kansas City. DeAndre Hopkins is not the same old DeAndre Hopkins. Travis Kelce might be done after this year, to be honest with you. He just looks like he's lost a step. Apparently, late nights with Taylor.
Well, you know what the old boxing trainers say: women weaken legs.
Yeah. Don't they say no hanky panky for about 90 or maybe like 3-4 days before the fight? No hanky panky.
Yeah, so, none. Well, and oftentimes when you go into training camp for something like that, the trainer doesn't want the women around at all.
Yeah.
Because men are angrier when.
Yes, indeed. A lot of pent up rage. Yes. So I will say the Chargers too. The Chargers are 8-4 against the number this year, so they've been making bettors money. So yeah, I like the Chargers here over the plus the 4 over the Chiefs.
So this is going to come down to a 4th and 2 right now in this game. Texas 4th and 2, just on the plus side of the field, right there at the SEC, right there at the SEC centerpiece there on the field.
And you're ahead of me. You're ahead of me too. I think you're 10 seconds ahead of me. So I'm watching. I'm going to hear what happens before I see what happens.
First down.
All right. All right. Chances.
Still alive.
Wow, barely.
The other game that I really like tomorrow is, and I think I already said this, Buffalo to me is the hottest team in the NFL. Buffalo and Philadelphia. The Lions are playing really well, but the Bills are doing magic things. I mean, like that touchdown where he threw it and it got lateral back to him and he scored. By the way, he's my fantasy quarterback. So I scored like 14 points on that play because he had a passing touchdown, he had a running touchdown, and he had a reception. So and it kind of went down as he passed it to himself, which is weird. But anyway, anything else you like tomorrow in the NFL?
Well, yes. I have many games that I like. Let's just touch on one of them. I will say that I disagree with you on the Bills. I like the Rams. Just because for the main reason, like I just said, I talked about letdown spots, so the Bills just clinched the AFC East last week with that win. So I kind of think this is like the spot. They got to go across country. They just clinched the East. Total letdown spot written all over it. And the lines come down from, I think 4.5 down to 4, down to 3.5 at some books. So sharps are hitting the Rams. And I kind of agree.
So I've got the Bills on the money line.
There you go.
And that's that's the play that I made, and then I put him on a parlay card for the money line. So I hope that they win. The best case scenario, the Bills win and the Rams cover. Then we both win.
Yes. So I will say I like the Bears here over the 49ers. Okay. So the Niners are a mess.
God, what has happened to the 49ers?
Yeah, they are a mess. No McCaffrey, no Bosa, no McCaffrey. Purdy's questionable. I haven't looked to see if he's playing yet, but I don't care if he plays or not. I'm still going to fade the 49ers. They've lost 3 straight. They might not even make the playoffs. The Bears, if you remember, they almost beat the Lions if that whole clock debacle didn't go on with Eberflus and Caleb Williams. But here's another little thing I look for: a team with a new head coach in football, basketball.
Right, they get that little spark.
Yes, that it sparks teams and they rally around the new coach. Or if the quarterback gets hurt and they bring in the backup quarterback, that team tends to rally around.
Interference in the end zone.
All right, here we go. We got chances. Unfortunately, we only get 15 yards for that, though, right? Yeah. Throw that
but
flag.
It puts you firmly in field goal range.
A lot of laundry on the field. That's good. Are we going to write out the rest of this game together? Loud?
Yeah, I think so. We might as well just stay on here.
Well, I mean, I guess if we go to overtime, I'm going to have to.
If we go to overtime, we're done. But we'll stay on through the last 35 seconds. I'm going to bring up the NFL lines and just take a quick look. A team that I think is going to have a big game Sunday, the Saints. Here's why. The first time since the second game in the season, they will have their entire starting offensive line back.
There you go.
And that has been a massive problem. Okay, that's the one thing you can't do is take a sack. That has been a massive problem for the Saints. They have been playing, at one point, they were down to their 4th center. And it was a guy that they brought in off the practice squad of the Giants.
Right.
So the offensive line has been just a terrible mess. I know no Taysom Hill, but I'm expecting a big game out of Alvin Kamara tomorrow. And the Giants are playing for nothing. They're blowing that thing up at the end of the season. And also, you got to figure the Giants players don't really love what's going on because they didn't even put the best quarterback in. They put the 3rd string guy.
Yeah. Well, I think Locke started last week. The DeVito started.
Yeah, Locke did, but I'm saying when they made that move, hey, we're just going to take the best quarterback off the field.
Yeah.
And no, we're not even going with the 2nd string guy. We're going with the 3rd string guy because we're tanking.
Yeah, sounds like a classic tank move to me. I wonder why. I mean, maybe there was an uproar in the locker room. Maybe they had to go with Locke because the players.
The pork chop kid got injured.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that. Okay, the pork chop kid. I've heard Tommy Pastrami. I've heard Tommy Cutlets. I've heard Tommy Lasagna.
Yeah, Cutlets. Tommy Cutlets is the one that you hear the most.
Here we go. Incomplete.
Yeah. Damn.
Well, at least we're in. You know what, man? If their kicker hadn't missed the 2 field goals,
they'd win.
It'd be a different story too.
Yeah, but then poop in one hand, wish in the other. See which one fills up faster.
So what's your strategy here? It's 3rd and 15. Are you trying to get the first down, or are you just going to run the ball to get closer for a field goal?
I'm throwing it into the end zone.
Yeah, I throw maybe. I don't know. I throw maybe like a screen pass, bubble screen, something like that.
That's what they just did. And he fumbled the ball, and Georgia recovers.
No way.
Yeah, that just happened.
Oh, but is it a catch? Oh, my gosh. No way. Was it a catch? That's what they're going to look at. Was it incomplete? And it looked to me like he didn't, they say make.
Oh, he never caught it. He never caught it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so here's the kid that's missed 2 field goals. It all comes down to Bert Auburn.
Well, this one's going to be 37 yards. The 2 he missed.
Let's just call him Carrot Top.
Well, the 2 he does look like Carrot Top. The 2 he missed were from, I believe, from 42 and then maybe 51, if I'm right. So, I mean, this is 37. And that one, too, if you remember, they had a penalty, the one that was 42 that he missed. So it would have been 37, and it would have been good from 37. So interesting. This is another 37.
Well, he did kick it, and it went through.
We have a timeout. They're icing him. All right. Well, you're going to have to just tell me. I'll know by your celebration because I think you're 10 seconds ahead of me here. By the way, that Weidman-Anders fight is about to go off right now, too.
I cannot believe Oregon will lose to Penn State. That's the one that I just don't see it. But the thing that, again, the line hasn't moved. 86% of the money is on one side and it never moved, which is a change.
That's scary too. James Franklin, though, he always blows these games. And I know he's not supposed to win. He usually blows the games he's supposed to win where they're favored. I'm just not a big James Franklin fan. I don't know. I don't know how he still has a job. He must have naked pictures of the dean or something.
And I think Penn State doesn't get the elite athletes.
All right. Well, here we go.
Drum roll, please.
Snap. And it is good down the middle.
And we're going to overtime. All right. This has been Betting in the Break. Good luck.
Hey, unless there's a kickoff return for a touchdown. I hope not.
Yeah, we're still alive. All right. I'm Loud Esmond. He's Sniper West. Catch Betting in the Break. Make you whole if you're down. Help you make more money if you're up. Here to grow your bankroll at the late games at night. Here on Saturdays and Sundays. 4:15 Pacific, 7:15 East, and look for the launch of hitthepick.com. Hitthepick.com, an unprecedented opening offer. When you sign up for the website the first time, you're going to get $100 in site credit. Not free picks, not the stuff we give away, $100 towards picks, and the daily picks are going to be priced at $25. So that's 4 picks just for signing up to the site. I'm Loud Esmond. Thanks for being here, everybody. Until next time.